Knowledge is power. When all the world is overcharged with inhabitants, then the last remedy of all is war, which provides for every man, by victory or death. Understanding is nothing else than conception caused by speech. The condition of man is a condition of war of everyone against everyone. Curiosity is the lust of the mind. Words are the counters of wise men and the money of fools. Whatsoever, therefore, is consequent to a time of war, where every man is enemy to every man, the same consequent to the time wherein men live without other security than what their own strength and their own invention shall furnish them withal. Humans are driven by a perpetual and restless desire of power. For it can never be that war shall preserve life, and peace destroy it. Hell is truth seen too late. For such is the nature of man, that howsoever they may acknowledge many others to be more witty, or more eloquent, or more learned, yet they will hardly believe there be many so wise as themselves, for they see their own wit at hand, and other men's at a distance. Leisure is the mother of philosophy. It is one thing to desire, another to be in capacity fit for what we desire. The first branch of which rule contained the first and fundamental law of nature, to seek peace and follow it. The second, the sum of the right of nature, by all means we can to defend ourselves. The source of every crime is some defect of the understanding, or some error in reasoning, or some sudden force of the passions. Defect in the understanding is ignorance, in reasoning, erroneous opinion. Now I am about to take my last voyage, a great leap in the dark. Force and fraud are in war the two cardinal virtues. Covenants, without the sword, are but words, and of no strength to secure a man at all. For to accuse requires less eloquence, such is man's nature, than to excuse, and condemnation than absolution more resembles justice. God put me on this earth to accomplish a certain number of things. Right now, I'm so far behind that I'll never die. If men are naturally in a state of war, why do they always carry arms, and why do they have keys to lock their doors? The notions of right and wrong, justice and injustice have there no place. Where there is no common power, there is no law. Where no law, no injustice. He that is to govern a whole nation must read in himself, not this or that particular man, but mankind. Fear of things invisible is the natural seed of that which every one in himself calls religion. Give an inch, he'll take an ell. As if it were injustice to sell dearer than we buy, or to give more to a man than he merits. The value of all things contracted for is measured by the appetite of the contractors, and therefore the just value is that which they are content to give. War consists not in battle only, or the act of fighting, but in a tract of time, wherein the will to contend by battle is sufficiently known. The best men are the least suspicious of fraudulent purposes. Liberty, to define it, is nothing other than the absence of impediments to motion. Hurt inflicted, if less than the benefit of transgressing, is not punishment, and is rather the price or redemption than the punishment of a crime. If any two men desire the same thing, which nevertheless they cannot both enjoy, they become enemies. It is in the laws of a commonwealth, as in the laws of gaming, whatsoever the gamesters all agree on, is injustice to none of them. If I read as many books as most men do, I would be as dull-witted as they are. It is fairer to tax people on what they extract from the economy, as roughly measured by their consumption, than to tax them on what they produce for the economy, as roughly measured by their income. The world is governed by opinion. Laughter is nothing else but sudden glory arising from some sudden conception of some eminence in ourselves, by comparison with the infirmity of others, or with our own former self. The right of nature is the liberty each man hath to use his own power, as he will himself, for the preservation of his own nature, that is to say, of his own life. The constitution of man's nature is of itself subject to desire novelty. Power simply is no more but the excess of the power of one above that of another. The value or worth of a man is, as of all other things, his price, that is to say, so much as would be given for the use of his power. Not believing in force is the same as not believing in gravitation. Every man's power resists and hinders the effects of other men's power. All acquired power consists in command over some of the powers of another man. Some men's desires are without limits. A man cannot lay down the right of resisting them that assault him by force to take away his life. Understanding is, by the flame of the passions, never enlightened, but dazzled. The power of a man is his present means to obtain some future apparent good. The privilege of absurdity, to which no living creature is subject but man only. For men would still be appetitive creatures, and would be apt to take back some of their old rights, whenever they saw an immediate advantage in doing so. A man's conscience and his judgment are the same thing, and as the judgment, so also the conscience, may be erroneous. Liberty and necessity are consistent, as in the water, that has not only liberty, but a necessity of descending by the channel. In the very shadows of doubt, a thread of reason begins by whose guidance we shall escape to the clearest light. Felicity is a continual progress of the desire from one object to another, the attaining of the former being still but the way to the latter. It is not wisdom, but authority that makes a law. In the state of nature, profit is the measure of right. No man's error becomes his own law, nor obliges him to persist in it. The secret thoughts of a man run over all things, holy, profane, clean, obscene, grave, and light, without shame or blame. Religions are like pills which must be swallowed whole without chewing. Science is the knowledge of consequences and dependence of one fact upon another.